Hey there, it's Jeff Luther, and you are diving into the podcast for the Service Business Blueprint. This is where I walk with you and help you unlock the secrets to building a thriving service-based business. We talk about everything from starting out to setting milestones in your company you didn't even know would exist. We'll cover entrepreneurship, personal growth, mindset, everything you need for success in your service-based business. You ready to build that blueprint? We are back with another fun episode of Service Business Blueprint, where we share tools, tips, and strategies to help you achieve your personal and your business goals, and more importantly, to overcome mindset obstacles. I'm your host, Jeff Luther, and in today's episode, we're going to get into mindset and outlook. What I call shitty questions. We'll talk more about that. I love that phrase. In the past, we've talked about reframing. I talked about that a few episodes ago when some things kind of went sideways in my business, and how to reframe that. Kind of, it's not head in the sand, but it's how to reframe it. It's already happened, or you're in it. Why not reframe it? Find the good and learn the lesson. So in the past, we've talked about that. I used examples of employees leaving, taking our client list, and I talked about how to reframe that. We never would have accomplished the things that we did in our organization if it weren't for those employees. So reframing those unpleasant times can certainly help focus on the positive of a situation. What'd you get out of it? What's the positive? But I also would encourage you, don't lose the lesson. Always learn. Now I wanted to get into what I just talked about. Asking shitty questions. What I call shitty questions. You heard that right. You have shitty questions, you have great questions. And I don't mean like great questions. Wow, boy, that's a really great question. Let's talk more about that. We've all heard the term lizard brain, right? Everybody, I think that's the common term now, the lizard brain, or our historic brain, where we're constantly looking for threats. That's how our mind is programmed. We're looking for threats. Well, no longer do we have to worry about walking out of our cave and getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. So we don't worry about those threats specifically, but we're pre-programmed to find the negative, to think about the negative. And when I'll give you an example of what just happened to me. So when I say this, you're going to say, oh yeah, well, I do that too. Unless, of course, you've overcome it and you've grown and developed far beyond the rest of us mere mortals. And then maybe this might not apply to you. But I was paddleboarding. This was last weekend. I was out with my youngest son, and I can't remember who's supposed to be my favorite right now. So my youngest son, Knox, we'll say that he's my favorite. He's my favorite son. So I was out paddleboarding with him, and we had gone out. We went out a little creek that runs into the intercoastal, and we'd gone out the creek. As the tide was slack, the tide had been coming in and then was slack. And so when we went out, by the time we got done and started to come back in, the tide was going out. So we were fighting the tide, and the wind had shifted. So we were fighting the tide, the wind had shifted. So it made for a pretty tough paddle coming back. And all you could do was just kind of dig in and keep going. Knox is more resourceful than just about anyone I know. So sometimes he'll dig in and go, and then sometimes he'll dig in and not go, if you know what I mean, as a parent out there. So he decided just to kind of chill and take it slow, apparently really slow, all the way back in. So I was paddleboarding along, and then all of a sudden I look up, and he's nowhere to be found. He's not behind me at all. And I know why. I'd looked up earlier, and he was sitting on his board, what I call Indian style. I don't think I'm supposed to say that, but I don't know a different term. So for those of you that are Gen Xer in that arena and older, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he's just sitting on his board and just kind of barely paddling along, just enough to make progress, but also not put forth a whole lot of effort. So he's just kind of going to do the turtle versus the hare. Well, I look up and he's nowhere behind me. The creek turns a little bit in a couple of spots, so I couldn't see him at all. And my immediate thought was, oh my gosh, I should go back. And then I started thinking of, and I was like, well, why would I go back? I'm just going to turn around and go back to see that he's fine, and then turn around and come back and fight all this current and wind again. And my mind immediately went to all the things that could be wrong. What could be wrong? Oh my gosh, he could have fallen off of his board and drowned, or he could have fallen off and hit his head. He could have gotten stuck. He could have lost his paddle and now he doesn't know what to do. All of these things that were almost impossible. Not impossible, but right there on the realm of impossible. So that was my caveman DNA, or my lizard brain, taking over. Well, when we ask ourselves these shitty questions, our mind does an amazing job of answering us with shitty answers. So when I couldn't see him, the first thing I did was what could be wrong. And when I thought what could be wrong, I started giving myself all of these answers of what could be wrong. That's what my mind looks for. Whereas if I turned around and he's not behind me, oh my gosh, what's great about this? What's great about this? What's great about this is he's getting his independence. What's great about this is he's figured out a way just to kind of take it slow and steady. What's great about this is he's back behind me by himself in a creek off the Intercoastal Waterway, having his own time doing his own thing. That's what's great about this. So shitty questions are the things that we ask ourselves to show why something won't work, or to show why something is bad. We all do it. It's just like looking at phone messages, right? When I walk into my office, and we don't do this much anymore, but when I walk into my office and I've got a phone message, what's the first thing that I think? I wonder what this person wants. I bet they want me to buy something, or they want something from me, or they want to complain about something. And so it puts us living in a negative state. From the time we look at the message until the time we call them back, we really have no idea what they want. So we're living in this negative state until we find out. We do it in so many areas of our lives. We do it in dating. We do it in meeting new people. We do it in meeting family members of people that we're close to. We do it in starting something new, going to an event, going to a party. What's going to suck about this party? Oh my gosh, what if somebody else has on my dress? What if somebody else is wearing the same shirt I'm wearing? We can always find reasons that it won't work, or the negative. We're always looking for threats. Dating, for example, asking yourself why the relationship won't work, or how that person's going to hurt you, or how they're going to leave you, or why they're not dependable, or what it is you're not going to like. You look for that negative. Meeting new people, asking yourself, what's wrong with them? How are they going to get on my nerves? Or what do we have different views on? Looking for that negative. Trying something new. Okay, what are the pitfalls? We also do this when we're shopping. When we're being sold. If someone's trying to sell us something, the first thing we do is figure out why we don't need it, how we can object to what it is they're selling us or trying to sell us, instead of asking the great question. Okay, what's great about this? What can I use this product for? How will this product help me? I even do it when I do a sales presentation, when I give a sales presentation. If I go teach a CE class, I think about who's not going to like me. What can possibly go wrong? What if I get there and they don't have an HDMI cable? What if I get there and their projector doesn't work? What if I get there and they're not set up for computers and I have to talk the entire time? What if I get there and there's someone in the class that's had a bad experience with my company before? All of these things that I tell myself that might give me a bad experience. Now what I do is it's hard to make that correlation and ask a great question. What's great about this? Well, what's great about this is I'm going to get in front of 60 people. What's great about this is now 100 folks are going to get my business card. Or what's great about this is now I'm going to be in this office with folks that are going to need to buy our product, and I'll get to meet more people. What's great about this is I get to spread our message about how I want the home inspection process to be talked about. So those are the things that are great about that. What I've tried to do now, and I do an exceptionally good job about this, is I think about how much fun it's going to be when it's over, right? When this 3 hour class I'm about to teach is over, when this presentation I'm about to give is over, what fun am I going to have? Am I going to go out to lunch? Am I going to go hang out with my kids for the evening? Am I done for the day? Do I get to skip work the rest of the day? It's 1 o'clock and I'm done. People always come up to me at the end of these, whether it be a CE class or an office presentation, and they want to chat. And I always think about how fun that's going to be. How fun is it going to be when I'm allowed to be myself one-on-one with people and talk about the topic that we just spoke about, as opposed to having to address all people or all audience potential types during this 3 hour CE class or 3 hour presentation. So I think about what the fun will be when I'm done, and that helps me reframe it as opposed to thinking about what can potentially go wrong. So instead, start making a habit, if you can, and what's great about this. And it is a fun game. What's great about this? What's great about this is I'll finally be done. When you have a big workout that you have to do. What's great about this? What's great about this is when I wake up tomorrow sore, I'm going to feel really good about the workout I did the day before. What's great about this is I get to try a new movement today. What's great about this is I might beat my time from last time. What's great about this is I may or may not lift a little bit heavier than I lifted this time 2 weeks ago. Then try to recognize that when you do it. Okay, I just lifted heavier. Wow, this is amazing. So instead of fighting those questions, maybe just add one. Just add one question. What's great about this? Because a lot of times we try to fight what comes natural. So we're fighting these questions. Oh, no, that's a shitty question. I don't want to ask that. And the way that I refer to this, so instead of fighting the question that's there, maybe just adding one good question. What's great about this? Or you add what's great about this, and then what can I learn from this? How do I want it to be? You could ask any of those questions, because I'll tell you that what starts to happen is you only have so much capacity, right? Everything only has so much capacity. A cup only has so much capacity. And if you're filling up your mind or your thoughts with good questions, you'll eventually start making less and less room for the shitty questions. So instead of fighting the shitty questions, maybe just add one for the time being. What's great about this? So I mentioned mindset. So now this kind of segues into mindset, and I want to talk about baseline. Getting a little open here. I think a lot of us in the home inspection industry, in the real estate industry, I know folks in the home services business. I know business has been down for the last year and a half. It's kind of a known topic for most companies. Some companies are on the upswing, some companies are growing, and that's fantastic. And it's not every market in the US either. So I want to talk about baseline. Baseline can be so many things, and it plays a huge role in our mindset. I know when we talk about your business being down, it's hard to flip that script and make it a positive. But some of us are suffering from decreased sales. So I hope you can just get where I am to change your mindset. Our sales volume over the last 2 years, it's off by almost 50%. And that's just in terms of volume, number of transactions. Our gross sales is not suffering as such because of increased fees and additional services, but our transaction number is down. But if I look at my baseline, if you would have told me, or if anyone would have told me 10 years ago that I would be where I am now in terms of our sales, almost $2.5 million in sales, I would have called you an idiot. I would have said there's absolutely no way. There's no way I'll be there. That's amazing. But here we are. So if the trajectory were opposite, if we were going up right now, if our curve were going up and it's kind of flat now, it's stabilized, then I would say, oh my gosh, we're at $2.5 million and the trajectory is up, this is absolutely amazing. But your baseline is where you were. When you're almost at 4.5 million, then your baseline is 4.5 million. Your baseline is not your 250,000 where you started or whatever that number is. So we look at our baseline to establish our current situation, where if we just look at our current situation, where we are, where we've come from, pick a spot in the past, it's always good news. And again, we're not putting our head in the sand, but it's mindset. How do we change that baseline to where we can see the positive, where we see the upside instead of just looking at the downside? But it isn't. It isn't where the trajectory is going up. It is going down. So can we remove that emotion? Look at it objectively as opposed to subjectively. So objectively, you're a $2.5 million company at a 22% profit margin. Objectively, you're a $70 million company at a 15% profit margin. Objectively, you're a $10 billion company at a 7% profit margin. Whatever those numbers are, that's objectively. But what we do is we look at it subjectively, where, yeah, you're a $2.5 million company, but you were $4.5 million company. Yeah, you're a $10 million company, but you were a $20 million company. Whatever that is, that's subjective too. So we can change our baseline in anything. But if you think about if you were presenting just your company. So let's say you were at $1 million 2.5 years ago, and today you're at 500,000. All things being equal, you are the same company, the same margin. Everything is the same except that sales dollar amount. So we've gone from 1 million to $500,000. Now, I will tell you that every year there's a business group that I coach in EO, and it's the accelerator group, and the objective is to get businesses to $1 million. That's the objective. We're trying to get them there in 2 years or less. And if I present to the folks in that room that I have a $500,000 company, and the threshold for that company is anything between $250,000 and $1 million, $999,000, anything under $1 million. So if I present to that room that I have a $500,000 company operating at a 22% profit margin, about 60 to 70% of the folks in that room are going to think that is an amazing business and wish they were where that company was. So it is baseline. It is where you are versus where you want to be, not where you are versus where you were. So there was some point in time where you would have killed to be right where you are now, at least in some facet of your life. Yeah, we have our ebbs and our flows, our highs, and then our peaks and our valleys, however you want to call it. So that's kind of all I wanted to chat about today. It's shitty questions, right? Try to avoid those shitty questions, but instead of fighting those questions, just add one to every scenario. And that one question is, what's great about this? And here's a challenge with that too. I will ask my kids sometimes, when something bad happens, I'll ask, what's great about this? What'd you learn, or anything like that? What's great about this? And the answer is usually nothing. Nothing's great about this. Okay, yep, fair enough. Nothing's great about this. But if something were great about this, what could it be? If something were great about this, what would it be? If you did find something great about this, what would it be? And that changes it a little bit, right? So we go from the answer of nothing's great about this, to making them think. Then they think, okay, well, if something were great about it, what would it be? So that's it. In business, mindset's critical. No question about that. And it's again, I want everyone to be careful about the head in the sand approach. That's not it. But you're here anyway. You're in it anyway. And our attitude is what we choose. And that is like my mantra over the last couple of years is choose. I still choose. All right, so go out there, win your day. If you like what you're hearing here, click that button below and subscribe. I'm always interested in getting the messages back in the comments. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, please keep us in mind. Thanks for hanging out on the Service Business Blueprint with me, Jeff Luther. Stay in the loop as we keep delivering these strategies to supercharge your service business. Hit subscribe, leave a review, be part of our growing community. Now you have someone to walk with you as we create your service business blueprint. Until next time, remember, where you focus is where your energy goes. Beliefs turn to things, so choose the good ones.